Welcome to the Church Safety and Security broadcast with the Church Safety Guys. Brought to you by 𝗃𝗏Radiocenter.com, a Motorola value-added reseller. The Church Safety Guys is a nonprofit organization dedicated to equipping the vigilant, those men and women who stand watch, keeping our houses of worship and places of faith safe. We believe church safety and security must be a ministry first, and have engaged servant leaders who continually strive for excellence and teams of motivated volunteers that are always training. Join us for the next hour as the Church Safety Guys unpack safety, security, leadership, and ministry operations with your hosts, Dr. 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗿 and Mike Scully. This broadcast is also available on YouTube, your favorite podcast platforms, churchsafetyguys.com, and on the original Church Security app. Download it today. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share with your ministry.
Well, hello. Welcome to the Church Safety and Security broadcast of the Church Safety Guys. I am James, and once again, on this fine Sunday evening, joined by my co-host, Mike.
What's up, Doc? Happy New Year. I should say stranger, because I feel like it's been forever, but it's because it has. So
profounder words have never been spoken.
No, but you know what? Sometimes you need a break in ministry, and that is exactly what that was. Some time off with the holidays, travel on both sides, and just to reset, recharge, chance to kind of come back even stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. We did actually. We took a break from everything, and I think our families might have appreciated the fact that we weren't calling each other every day. I don't know. It was kind of weird because at one point I'm like, I wonder what Mike thinks about this, and then I realized that like usually the top 3 people in my Facebook messaging places, like Mike is in that top 3, and so then when I went to like message you about something, I don't even remember, it was like, you're not anywhere near the top. You were like down, like, but it was good.
That's a first. Like, I know we've taken a break last year at similar timing, but I don't think that's ever happened to that degree.
Yeah. Well, we're back. We're happy to start off a new season. We've got some great content scheduled to come this season, and 2024, and we alluded to this back in December on the last broadcast that we did, but 2024 is going to look a little bit different for us, just from having a broadcast and podcast perspective too. We both of us have changed jobs quite a bit, or have had changes with our jobs that have kind of made us step back a tiny bit and say, hey, what's going on? How is this going to play out? And that sort of thing. So we're definitely continuing to move forward, but at the same time, bear with us. I think we're going to probably try a rotation where we do maybe 12 or 13 episodes and then take a break and make sure that we're doing things well. And I think actually about the second season would be slated right after the conference in April, if I figured that out correctly. So again, lots of great content coming up this season, and some of the things that we're definitely going to talk about. We've got folks coming on, new guests that we've never had on before, which is always a blessing to get some new folks in and their experiences. And we're going to talk about women in ministry, church abuse, leadership, and then obviously church safety and security as well. So if you haven't joined us in a while, or maybe this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for hanging out and joining us. As always, you can reach out to us through our website, which is churchsafetyguys.com. and we're happy to do the best that we can to help you in your ministry and answer questions. If you are new and you're not familiar with our broadcast, we do try and do it weekly on Sunday evening. And you're welcome to click the like and subscribe button, and certainly share it with your team, and let us know if there's a particular topic or piece of content that you'd like us to talk about, because we really get our ideas from you all, and oftentimes kind of look at, okay, what do churches need? What's the big question that's going on, and then look at addressing that on the broadcast as well. So, but without further eloquence, I do want to throw out a plug for the conference. So
Absolutely.
We've got some new information about that. So you can go and you can actually purchase tickets. You can visit our website, which is 𝗓𝗃𝐶onference.com. And there's definitely a list of the location, the date. It's actually going to be April 26th and 27th at Grace Covenant Church in Austin. And we're really excited about the facility there and partnering with those folks. And so far, the lineup, I think we pretty much have everybody solidified, but Mike and I will definitely be there. We added a second day, so it's a Friday Saturday thing, and we're actually running some very specific training on Friday for you and your teams. And really, the training is designed, like when we sat down and we talked about it, the training is designed to help you and your team regardless of where you're at. So if you haven't set up a team, if you haven't set up a safety team at your church, or maybe you did and you're wanting to push them and do some things to train with them or to encourage them, you will definitely find that content at this conference. So we're excited about that too.
Yeah, it's really broken down across each caliber really at that point. So while Essentials is designed to be focused around really that core, really what you need, what the essential items or topics, but the basics, kind of the foundations getting started, as James mentioned, is there. But we also wanted to add a challenge component this year. So we have a afternoon option on the Friday that will give you a chance to really sit down with peers and others that are serving in the similar ministry at other churches, and to really work through a situation. We're not going to necessarily live play it out, but we will talk through it, and there'll be choices and options and things for you to choose, and then chance to win prizes on the basis of how the teams walk through and choose the answers. So really fun simulation and challenge set up for the afternoon. So check that out.
For sure. And we definitely have some new faces, new friends at the conference, folks that have been on the broadcast before. 𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗵𝗵 is actually going to be there. I'm real excited about that. It'll be the first time he's joined us at a conference. Maddie Scholar is also one of the trainers and speakers that'll be there. And then we have, obviously, Mike and I will be doing some presentations as well. And our good friend John Riley with General Response De-Escalation will be there as well. So really a lot crammed into 2 days. And then actually on Sunday after church, we did get the final on that information. So one of the sponsors of the conference is actually KR Training, and that's Carl with KR Training, and they're in Lincoln, Texas. And Carl is actually setting up a special training event for Sunday after church. And that's going to actually be a 4-hour training event. And we'll have the information on our 𝗓𝗃𝐶onference.com website. So it'll be down at the bottom of the page, where if you're interested, you can sign up and go do that class if you're in Texas at the same time too. But that class is actually going to be a very, very small limited class. Phenomenal price point for the trainers that that Carl is putting into it, and the time and effort. And basically he's offering, it's a firearm class, so there's certain, certainly requirements and restrictions accordingly. But the cool thing about it is a lot of it is range work, and Carl has a fantastic background of training, and is certified. I know he's been working with Ed Monk and Ed's group to do training. So he's got, and definitely, I mean, there's more information on the website for that, but you need to have a firearm concealment holster, 3 magazines, 300 rounds type thing. And I believe, if I understood him correctly, that he's going to be doing the live fire training, and he has a shoot house as well, and he's going to be guiding people through drills and different things like that. So definitely a fun-filled weekend, a good weekend to get some training in, and across the board, I think we've pretty much covered everything, like in that weekend. Because now I'm looking at it. I got that email from KR Training this week, and I was looking at it, and I haven't bought my plane ticket yet for Austin. And so I was like,
See, I love that I can drive finally. After flying for 4 years now, I can finally not have to fly anywhere for a conference. So,
but what's cool about it is that, if Mike and I end up doing that, I mean, we get to train with you guys, right? So
yep.
we've been talking about possibly going and doing the training with Carl, and brushing up on some of our skill set, etc. And I think that I think it'll be a good deal.
I think it really stretches the envelope, because for so often we've seen a lot of folks flying in or traveling in from a longer distance.
Yeah.
And this really takes it that if you're already paying for a plane ticket, if you're already driving 5-6 hours, that you're putting an investment into that. So why not add some additional opportunities to do even more, and make it really a full weekend at this point. So whether you need each piece, it's really kind of a la carte. So you can load up and get a discount and do the whole weekend, and then you still have an option to add on Sunday. Or if you don't need every single piece because your team's established, for example, and you don't want to do that, or you don't have to do the foundations piece. So it's really an opportunity to build out a church safety conference the way that it works best for you. So really highly personalized, and designed around each individual.
For sure. And if you think about it, and we've always, whenever we've done a class or a conference, we've always tried to do it very economically, thanks to our sponsors, and thanks to just managing it extremely frugal, in a frugal way. And honestly, if you look at the fact that the entire cost, like if you do the 2 days of conference and then sign up for Carl's thing, you come in Friday, you leave Sunday, it's a phenomenal cost to do all of that together. You're still under $350 per person to have like basically 3 days worth of solid training. That's just a phenomenal deal. You could very easily come in Friday, hang out with us Friday and Saturday, go to church at Grace Covenant on Sunday, and then after church from 2 to 6 is Carl's training. So, and he will actually, I think he will actually be one of our guests in 2 weeks. I believe he's going to be on, and he'll be able to talk about that and what he does with those 4 hours and that sort of thing. So if you thought at all about the conference and coming down, and that perks your interest more, you definitely don't want to miss that broadcast, because he'll go over with us what all he's going to be doing that day, and it'll be good for sure. So we'll jump into the topic at hand. So we wanted to talk a little bit today about women in ministry, and we've certainly seen over the last couple of years of doing church safety and security how more and more women are jumping in to serve, and that's phenomenal. There's definitely a place, I believe, and I know Mike, you do too, that there's definitely a place for women to help serve in that ministry. And sometimes that kind of goes a little bit by the wayside because oftentimes safety and security tends to be a very male dominated, high strung personality type ministry.
It's kind of funny. It parallels. I'm in tech as my normal day job, and so it's very similar environment there as well. But you're absolutely right. It's the title of tonight's episode is not a punchline, is not a gotcha, is not a meant to twist things around and turn it into a social media discussion. It's really that we have partners in faith and ministry that we can reach out to, and there's many different things that they can do. I mean, it's not one versus the other. This is when you're putting together a ministry, it's about coverage and it's about serving, and Absolutely. It shouldn't be about anything up beyond that.
For sure. So one of the folks that we've kind of added to our team and adopted, is that a good word? Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'll bring her in a second here, but she's become a great friend, and her and her husband have done a phenomenal job in helping us with the Austin conference and planning. So I want to publicly say thank you for that, but I will actually bring Corey in, and she can join us. So, hey, Corey.
Hey there. Thank you.
Welcome. And
yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Unlike many of our guests who have never had the chance to meet, we did get to meet already because you're in my backyard. It's great.
Yeah, that was great. We loved having y'all.
That's good.
So again, we appreciate, it's kind of interesting how providentially you meet people, and you've extended Texas hospitality and Grace Covenant hospitality for sure, in ways that go beyond saying thank you, but thank you for helping us with the conference. And it's always fun to get to meet new people and make new friends. And we're grateful that you joined us tonight. So don't be too hard on us with the questions and answers. But anyhow, for those that are listening that maybe don't know who you are or your background, because I don't want to give away too much, because you have an amazing story and testimony. But please jump in and just tell us how you got started, why church safety and security is interesting or important to you, and how you're involved with it.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you. I've been super nervous. So I've been taking deep breaths. It's good. It's all good. I know your community is really nice, so hopefully they'll be nice to me. But I do have a little joke to tell you later about the intro when you said thank you to me and my husband. So we'll revisit that on the back end.
Okay.
But, yeah, funny story. But how did I get into ministry and to where I'm at now with security? And I know you kind of asked me that a few days ago, and so I've been thinking about it. And as I look back, right, on my life and think about where God's taken me and how he's prepared me for this role, it's been very interesting. And when I look back at like my dad and my brothers and that kind of thing, don't worry, it's not going to be a whole like hour-long saga, but I do think it's important to note that, you know, my father was very protective of me as his only girl. And then I had two older brothers, and they were both protective, right? We grew up using guns as tools to hunt and to feed our family. And so we would shoot cans and have fun doing that. But, you know, it would build our proficiency to put dinner on the table, and would increase our family community, right? Our culture, our tribe, kind of our bond. So growing up, I had already started learning the values of having a protector mindset, being aware of my surroundings, building community, all of that goes into play in safety and security world. So from a young age. Fast forward to college, and I moved to Dallas, and I lived by myself. I was 19 and single female, living alone. I did not live in a good area of town. We did not know this when my parents dropped me off at the apartment. And I was very quick to go in and out of my apartment. Well, there were some guys that lived in my floor that befriended me. I'm fairly certain that they were involved in the sketchiness that was going on in my neighborhood. I'm very confident that they were, but they befriended me, and I was really glad for that. If I would come in with groceries or laundry, they were on it. It's like they were watching out their door for me. They were down there helping me carry bags up and laundry up, and I never made more than one trip. Let's put it that way. They wanted me out of the parking lot as fast as possible in case there was a drive-by or something. I mean, I really didn't live in a good area of town. So I was very grateful for them. So again, very aware, building community with people that maybe you would or wouldn't want to build a community with. But, and we see that sometimes day by day at church. It's a good thing. It's all good lessons. But when I moved back home and met my future husband at that point, Chuck, we both like to hunt, and we got into community with duck hunters, and that was new to us. And we just fell in love with duck hunting. And then from there, we fell into a community of competition shooting. And so he started with pistol, and he went to 3-gun and all that good stuff. And then he pulled me into pistol matches and steel challenges, which I love steel challenges. They're so much fun. But when you step into those worlds, you really step into a world with past and current military, police, right? And just general, like the term we probably all use a lot, sheepdog men and women, right? Who want to build a community with others who are kind of like-minded and that kind of thing. And so that was amazing. So we loved that. We just, every different stage, we just really fell in love with. And after Chuck and I, we were married for 7 years before we had kids. We had a lot of fun. And we joke that we had the fun up front. And now when our kids leave, we're going to be too old to have fun. So anyway, but after we got married and had kids, I homeschooled through 2nd grade. And so I then volunteered at the school and started teaching. And so from 2014 to 2022, I was in the classroom teaching. And if that time in history does not bring somebody to a protector mindset, self-awareness, build community, with all of the unfortunate shootings we saw in schools and all of these things, I don't know what will, right? So that was really an impactful time. My classroom looked very different than a lot of others when we would do lockdown drills. And we would talk about what happens in our classroom if something happened. It would just look very different. But I was really grateful to be there and to be protecting those kids. And so when I left the school district at the end of 2022, I started on with Grace Covenant Church full time. And I'd already been here 18 years at this church. So moving into the office was no different. It was just that I was here every day, right? Because I was involved in so many other ministries, really just about every ministry, children's, women's, youth, that you could think of. Chuck was involved with different men's stuff. So it was just easy, right? But it was then that I got involved fully in the safety and security team. We had been part of the community of the safety and security team for a number of years because one of our executive pastors told the director of operations, who was leading the team, he said, well, I just know that if something happens, I'm going to find Chuck. And I'm going to get behind Chuck and I'm going to do what he tells me to do. And so the director of operations said, maybe I should meet Chuck and maybe I should bring him onto the team. And our executive pastor said, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So he had lunch with Chuck and Chuck joined the team. And when we do one thing, one of us does it, both of us do it. We're fully involved in each other's lives, which is a great thing. We have a lot of fun together. And so being a youth leader, an adult youth leader at our church, it was important for the team that I kind of owned that world, right? Owned that floor, so to speak. So I had communications with the team as far as, the youth group area. So if something happened, I was kind of the communication there to say, we're on lockdown or we need to leave, or which those have all happened at our church. From there, when the director of operations left, I was brought on. One of my roles was a lot of administrative tasks for the team, right? Emails and scheduling and different things. So when the director of operations left a few months after I started, I kind of had to, by necessity, jump into full-time leading the team because there was no one else here to do it. Well, what I didn't realize was how much I would love it. Right. And the team we have here is so great. And so I just fell in love with it. Our new director of operations came in January of 2023 this year. And he was having a meeting with our executive pastor. And they were talking about the role of safety and security coordinator and who were they were going to bring on because they needed to hire somebody. And Fred, our new director of operations, said, well, Corey is really doing this role already. Like, she's doing her job plus this other job, both of them full time. Should we consider her? Because they were looking at former military, police, firefighters, someone with that kind of background.
Sure.
And it's really kind of hard to find somebody in that role who also goes to church and is a believer and wants to lead a team. And, because if they're retired, they probably want to retire and not jump back into a full-time job, right? So he said, can we look at Corey for this job? And our executive pastor said, yeah, why don't you ask her if she's interested in it? And so when Fred came to me and said, okay, you've got 2 jobs. Which one would you pick? I said, really? Is this really a question? Are you serious? And he laughed. He said, yeah, I already know which one you pick, but I'm obligated to ask you the question. So I said, definitely safety and security. I love this job. I would love to do that full time. I mean, the fact that you're asking me, I was just floored, So that was January. So by the end of March, I was moved full time into safety and security coordinator. So that was really exciting. And he moves quick. Yeah. And our church doesn't have a lot of red tape. They're pretty passionate about things and very supportive. So it was great. So since then, it's not even been a year yet, but we started with a really great foundation that was already laid for us. And, but we've built on it. We have monthly trainings now, and we changed the way we bring people on, the interview process and onboarding process, and different requirements and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's been great. So I still serve in the youth group. Half the morning is serving as, security lead, I guess. And then the other half is working with now 9th grade girls. We have the blessing of starting off with our kids in 6th grade. And then we follow them all the way through high school. So starting in 9th grade, we put the girls and the guys together. So now we have about 50 girls and guys that we meet with on Wednesday nights that are in 9th grade. And so we've got a big group. It's awesome. So yeah, so I'm still involved in a lot of other things at the church too, but safety and security is definitely my main gig around here. So that's it in a nutshell, I guess.
It is awesome. I love Fred too, because he's amazingly nice guy. And
he really is,
he's definitely, he strikes me as the individual that I could spend a lot of time hanging out with and talking with. A very sharp, very wise man. And
I agree.
So I think, and I definitely, we have to take a quick break, but I definitely want to come back and talk about just the church's process of bringing you into that role, because I think there's, and I know I've said this to you before, but I think that speaks very highly and speaks volumes to the focus of the church. And that focus is and has been truly that safety and security can be something that is ministry oriented and ministry first focused to support the mission of the church. And I want to talk about that. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll get into that. So if you're listening, don't go anywhere. We will be hopefully right back.
At 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗖𝗵𝗂 Bible College, we're authentic about relationships, we're passionate on training, we're unapologetically biblical. And as the first college in the United States to design an associate's program in church safety and security, we're innovative. Explore 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗖𝗵𝗂 Bible College and you'll find the tools to be better prepared to support your community and the mission of your church, the culture to help you engage with the people you serve with, and the environment to foster learning and leadership. Discover 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗖𝗵𝗂 Bible College today. Enhance and develop the skills to engage and connect with your community when they need you the most. Be intentional in your community with a ministry mindset, understand concepts of safety and security, and make a difference today. For more information or to enroll, visit 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗃𝗍𝗂𝗏𝑏c.org or 𝗓𝗏𝑐𝗍𝑔uys.com.
Even at church, bad things can happen. Medical emergencies, active shooters, predators, even domestic disputes. Is your church, is your ministry, is your sanctuary prepared? Do you have a safety or security team? Find out how you can be with 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗏𝗂's new book, The Case for Church Safety and Security. 𝗧𝗵𝗂𝗏𝗏's experience and training, along with a biblical foundation, bring much needed information in today's trying times. It offers a true biblical perspective for starting, keeping, and growing a safety or security ministry in your church or place of worship. The Case for Church Safety and Security, a brand new book, includes a special foreword by Frank Pomeroy, the pastor at the First Baptist Church, Sutherland Springs, Texas, where they experienced the worst active shooter in U.S. history. This compelling book shares insight on preparing yourself and your church from potential threats with a biblical worldview. Start your journey to a more secure ministry and worship freely, knowing you're safe. Get more information now at 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗍𝗂𝗏𝗏.com and pick up your copy today.
The Church Safety Guys help church and place of worship safety and security teams all over North America through our broadcasts, online communities, conferences, trainings, resources, and the all-new Church Security app. Download it today. Help us continue to reach churches by supporting our sponsors, purchasing our resources, and consider becoming a ministry partner by making a monthly or one-time donation. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this broadcast with your team. And now, back to the broadcast.
All right, welcome back, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. So as always, if this is your first time listening to the broadcast, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share if you're doing that over YouTube or maybe Spotify. And if we can help you or your ministry, please feel free to reach out to us through our website, which is 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗍𝗂𝗏𝗏.com. And we would love to do that. So we're talking about women in ministry, and we actually have our guest today, Corey Jones. And Corey is actually the safety director of Grace Covenant Church in Austin, Texas. And that's actually Grace Covenant. Thanks to Corey and her husband, Chuck, were hospitable in allowing us to have our 2024 conference there, which we're really excited about. So again, for more information on the conference, you can visit the website 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗍𝗂𝗏𝗏.com, and there's ticket information, and it's in April. It's going to be a great long weekend. But I want to, before we run out of time, I want to jump back to to Corey so that we can pick her brain a little bit. And before the break, one of the things I mentioned was a church, your church specifically, picking you and asking you to do that. It really means a lot. And when I started thinking about it, it means a lot to me, and it has absolutely nothing to do with me. Which is kind of a weird way to say it, but still it's really reflective of, you were already serving, you were already doing the job. And the church was like, instead of grabbing somebody and bringing them in, they're like, look, this is our focus. This is our priority. Corey's already doing it. So we want her to fill this role. And then it kind of came down to you deciding if you wanted to do that or not.
And that in and of itself is pretty amazing. Like, let's separate out the church security element of that just in a moment. A church in executive leadership recognizing the talents of their team and understanding the calling and capacity of what you bring, Corey, and saying, hey, this is automatically saying, why don't we have this consideration? I feel like if this was the corporate world, they would have ignored that. They would have moved on and posted the job and hired somebody, not realizing right under their eyeballs that they had somebody that could have filled that role perfectly. And so I think it's a testament, of course, to your church, but also to how you serve. And because clearly that has left a mark on those around you, enough for them to recognize that, but it speaks volume of the culture in that church as well. So it's pretty amazing.
And the culture of it too. I'm just going to say this and then I'll throw it over to you to add the culture to speak volumes to that. I mean, I have personally talked to at least one individual that serves on your team, and that individual may, if we can work it out, maybe a guest, future guest, but that I'm also excited about. But everyone is extremely respectful and speaks very highly of you. So it's not like, oh, we're just doing this because we're continuing to serve. Your leadership has been and gone above and beyond to demonstrate Christ's love and grace to others. And that's beyond commendable from the aspect of, you know, we work with churches all the time where we're constantly looking at the culture, like how do you respect your leaders? How, in fact, I was at a church this past week, and we were talking about it because the church is trying to set up a team. And so, you know, if you have leaders that do that put Christ first, that demonstrate servant leadership, the abundance of that blessing is seen in how the team responds, how the team acts, and everything. And that's why we harp on it so much, as, you know, ministry first is the priority, because everything else can be added to that. But I'll throw it over to you, and you can jump in and say something if you'd like.
Everything you're saying is so spot on. Mike, your analogy of the corporate world. I worked in the corporate world, event planning and executive assistant stuff, all that, right? And what they would do is say, oh, well, we have to open it up. We have to open it up internally, externally. It's just,
Sure,
part of the rules or whatever. Well, one of the great things about being in a church who's privately run is that they don't have rules like that, right? But you're right. The fact that they took the time to look and see, she's already doing this. I mean, we literally sat down. The job description is almost 2 pages. And he said, let's look and see what you're doing. And I said, okay, and there was only one thing on the whole list that I wasn't doing. And I said, oh, I'm not doing that. And I kind of felt bad for it. Right. It wasn't even my job, but I kind of felt bad for it. And he said, it's okay. We're not doing that yet at all. And I said, oh, okay, great. Right. But the reason he was asking all of that was because of the next question. Well, would you want to do this? So it was really cool. And the fact that they did look at me, even as a female in this role, they did say, we don't have to have a male. And they overlooked all of the things that they were initially going for, right? Needed to have this ex-military, police, all these things, right? And they said, well, who's doing the job and who can do it well, I guess, or they hoped, right? They were kind of gambling on that a little bit, but it was great. It was really a confidence booster for me. I think it set me on a good path of
Sure.
leading the team, knowing that they had that confidence and that they were supportive of our team. One of the things I can say about our pastoral staff and everybody on staff and our members is that they are very supportive of us, right? And we've been pretty incognito, but I'm starting to bring that in us into the light a little bit more. But it's really been great. There was something you said, James, that's triggered something. I can't remember what it was now, but Yeah, but it's been great. I mean, the process that we've been able to go through of having trainings, of having a budget that I own, right, I think it's a big deal. I mean, to see that our church has a safety and security coordinator full-time role is an anomaly, right?
Yeah.
I have, in the last few months, I pulled together what I call a resource team, and it includes people that kind of manage their safety team all over the greater Austin area, Georgetown, Elgin, South Austin. You know, there's probably 12 churches, and we meet every other month here. I host them and I build the agenda and stuff. Hopefully that'll change this year. Some people will start owning that a little more, but to see the level of support that I have when we get together and talk about what's going on in our churches, our church, Grace Covenant Church, is really light years ahead. It's amazing. The culture we have. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it reminds me a lot of when I started in church safety, which was 20 years ago. And I mean, my background has been in public safety, so I had a little bit more of that experience, but because the idea of church safety was so new, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was signing up to ask to do. Like safety director, like only the big churches in, metropolitan areas had that role. That was just, that was an anomaly too. So to me, your story really reminds me a lot of mine when, I went to our lead pastor and said, hey, this is my vision. I'd like to do this. And my focus is ministry, discipleship, and supporting area churches. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. You said, I used the D word, which was discipleship. And that was one of his pet words. So, but it's interesting because we see all the time, or very often, I should say, we see individuals that have taken over their church safety and security team and stepped in and they've had that experience, like you said, like been in the military, been in public safety, et cetera, et cetera. And Mike and I have for years literally said that should not be the litmus test of asking someone to lead a team. It should be, what is their leadership capabilities? Where's their heart? Where's their focus? Are they an approachable leader? Because if you work on the ministry aspect and, the leadership role and tasks, everything else can be added. All of those safety type training and everything can be added in that, but you can't replace someone that has a heart for it and a passion to do it from a ministry perspective.
Right.
Well, and respect, right? What you said earlier was, how do you lead a team that responds to you? Respect. I mean, right. The respect that I give to this team is huge because every time I bring someone new on, I tell them, I'm not the expert here. I'm probably not even equipped to be on this team. Right. But you bring a different level of expertise and knowledge. And so for the greater good, we all are this well-oiled, amazing machine because of all the different expertise on the team that we bring together. Right. And so the respect that I have for the people on my team is huge. I care about them. I care about their families, their children, their wives, what's going on with them. And I ask and I know and I pray and they know that. And so I think that's a big part of them stepping up week by week. But just their pure mentality, because before I came on, one of my number one goal when I first took over the team was build community, because what we had was a great solid group of guys. And there was one other girl on the team who would show up on Sundays. They would pick a post, it was kind of first come, first serve. So they kind of did the same thing every week. Right. And I wanted to build community because I knew that community and trust was important. And so we have a solid foundation of community where the guys are just about to start a Bible study group together, which is amazing. I'm super excited about that. And now I set the positions from week to week, right? I say where they tell me if they're going to serve and I tell them where they're going to serve, and they like it. Because now they have to serve everywhere in every capacity and every role. And so that makes us a stronger team because everybody knows what's going on everywhere. Right. But I think that respect, that foundation is so important right? You can't have that without building a good team.
For sure.
Absolutely. You talked a lot about kind of that respect and building on that service and so forth. And really we have the perfect example. Jesus took not a firearm from his belt, but a towel from his belt, and he washed his disciples' feet. And I think that is, I figured you did. But I think that's the difference, is if we think about an everyday carry, what we carry is our heart and our head first. And everything that we bring as elements of tools for the job, and the what if is just that. It's the what if. But are we actually sewing into our team in such a way that they are serving each other as much as they're serving the church, or serving the members in whether it's a good day or a bad day or a day in crisis? It's the same thing. They need to understand, how are they going to show up, not because of what's on their belt, but because what's in their heart and how they can serve the right way.
Right.
One of the questions that was just asked that we got brought in, Corey, was directed to you, and basically they're asking, did you experience anyone that you felt tried to bully you because they knew or acted like they knew more than you did, or knew better than you, with like when you took over the team?
And I presume they're talking about people specifically on the team.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm going to assume that. No, absolutely none.
That's interesting.
Not one of them. None, not one of them. I think that I had started, I kind of was in the community already, right? So they knew me. I knew, and I'd been at this church for 18 years, right? So I was not like an unknown capacity, but there were a lot of the people on the team that I didn't know. Like I would see them and I didn't even know their name. Right. So then when I started in the role with more of the administrative duties, then I got to know them, that kind of thing. And then when I took over the team, of course, I knew everybody, but everybody was 100% on board and supportive. So
See,
that just
that
shows
to
the
me,
community and our church. That just shows,
I was just going to say that. I mean, that's just a testimony to the culture of the church, and the fact that they were supportive. Because if the leadership is supportive, and we've said this many times before, but if the leadership is supportive of having a safety and security ministry, all of that kind of transcends to how the people on your team are going to respond, how the members respond to the team. And that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, our pastors paint a very clear picture of unity right here at our church. And it's just kind of an understood that if somebody comes on staff, not everybody is announced from the pulpit, right? Unless they're a pastor of something, right? But if somebody's on staff, then our church is supportive of it, because they figure that our leadership has been involved and they've approved it, and this is somebody that we're going to embrace, right? So we work through the good and the bad together. It's great.
So let's jump into more specifics on women in ministry. So what would you say, being in that role and position, what would you say to maybe a church that reached out to you that said, we don't need women on our team and this should just be guys? And like, how would you respond to that? Besides maybe smacking them upside the head? I don't know.
I know. I think my husband might do that for me. Yeah. Well, I would first ask them why. I mean, why do you think that way? Why do you feel that way? Right? What's your basis of belief? That a man is stronger? Probably. Yeah. I would say men are stronger than women. But the mental fortitude, right? I wouldn't say that. One of the things that I think a lot of women do, a lot of the women in my circle do better, is the whole de-escalation, right? When we were first married, my husband said, I'm going to let you go talk to the person at the front desk of wherever, because you have this diplomatic approach to being able to deal with conflict, and it comes out in our favor because of the way you handle it. He goes, if I go up, I'm just going to be hot-headed and it's going to be awful, right? So that was our thing. If something went bad, I was the one that handled it. But we call that de-escalation now, right? but I would say, why? I would ask them why. What's the fallacy that they live under, that they think women should not be part of the team? Because, you've got situations where, men go into women's restrooms, and you've got homeless women that come that are skittish and nervous. And if a man approaches them, especially a big guy, they're probably going to, run away or something, negative is going to come from that. But we've got women that come that, have large bags, and I go up and talk to them about, their day and what's going on. And, you've got a big bag, what's in it? We talk about different things. It's not that cut and dry, but there's all kinds of reasons that women would be an asset to a team. If anything, to build a different mindset, right? I think women come to the table not having the mindset of, oh, I'm already knowledgeable. I already am an expert at this. I'm probably not going to learn a whole lot, right? If I'm going to a new class or something. Where my husband loves to train. He loves to train new shooters who are female, because he says they're so moldable. They come to the table just like, teach me the right way, teach me what to do, teach me all the rules, and I want to know. That's a great place to start with, a female. So there's
I've noticed, I will say I've noticed the same thing, because I've done firearm classes for a long time. And I've noticed having women in the class versus men. Oftentimes, I've never had a woman, and I've done firearm classes for 17 years. I don't think I've ever had a woman in a single class go to shoot and say, I know how to do this. Like, I'm just going to do this the way I want to do it. Whereas, I mean, I thinking about it, I've had guys all the time like, oh, I know how to do this. I shot 20 years ago for 3 months.
I've done it my whole life.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, we talk about the teachable spirit, and I don't think it is gendered necessarily, but coming to that with the right attitude. And I think those that do bring that, I think you're absolutely right. When you enter with a teachable spirit, they're moldable and shapeable, like you said, and that's where it turns into getting a good culture and creating a good team. There are a lot of skills and a lot of different ways and things that people could respond to, that all of that can be taught. What you can't necessarily teach as easily is those soft skills, those interpersonal skills, the ability to sit down and the willingness to bend a knee and pray with somebody who's having a tough day. That's harder to be taught. Can you coach it? Yes. Can you kind of lead it and kind of demonstrate it? Absolutely. But it's harder to get that output, that outcome in a quick manner, whereas other skills are more teachable.
I agree. One of the things I did is start a leadership team of guys that can not be a, yes, ma'am, things are great, but tell me the hard truth, right? Is this working? If I'm doing a new training, is it good? I'm writing this new piece of the manual. Can you read it and tell me, what's wrong with it or whatever? But they're a great sounding board. And they decided they should be called the board of directors. So I go by that. So we call them the board of directors. But one of the criteria of being on that team is having a heart for God, right? And having a solid walk with the Lord, a relationship with God, a growing marriage, right? We all have our ups and our downs, but a healthy marriage, if they're married. So I agree, Mike, those things are very important. We can't have a ministry. We're called the Action Ministry Team at our church. That's what we're known for. The A team, some people say, but we can't have that. We can't have the A team without the ministry part in the middle. It is hard to teach. And part of our interview process now is there's a whole section. There's three different groups that they have to go to. And one of the groups is about their walk and their relationship with Christ. So it's very important. I need to know that the people on my team are going to be led by the Holy Spirit when they've got a situation that is escalating, that might be a severe threat, that the Lord is leading them through that situation and that challenge and that trial, and not just their own, feelings and whatever. So yeah, it's really important.
And that may be the wisdom and discernment to understand that I need to tap out and tag somebody else in that says, hey, this is not, there's a personality conflict, there's something there, whatever. You can realize that regardless of training, sometimes it's just, you're not going to get through to that person, no matter how skilled, no matter how trained you might be in that given capacity. Sometimes it's just better to say, hey, you know what, tap out, next person try. And build that rapport.
And de-escalation, that's an excellent point. You know, some of the best de-escalating teams and situations that I've worked with on my church has been with women, just because the stark contrast between having a guy, having a woman working together has been very successful, very, very effective. And you know, one thing you mentioned, Corey, that I want to go back to is the fact that you're approachable to your team, and you don't go in, you offer the leadership, you offer the management of saying, hey, here's the structure. This is how we do what we do. This is how we're successful as a ministry. But you're approachable in the sense that if someone has a concern, you have like that open door policy where it's like, hey, I don't know everything. Like, come talk to me, because I'm sitting here and I know that's how you are personality wise, but that's how I feel like that's how I was successful with having a team for the length of time that I did, because I never felt like I knew everything, but I felt like the people around me, like together, we were solid. Like if I had a deficiency in some area, you know, one of the folks that I served with could make up for that deficiency. And I think that's really, I don't know, the key focus point of a successful safety team, a successful ministry, is embracing that servant leadership attitude with, you know, with your team. And so often, I think sometimes we have a tendency to forget that. And on Sundays where I forgot it, I would have one of my assistants come by and be like, brother, I need to talk to you. And I was always like,
your little board of directors.
Oh man. Yeah. But that's what I wanted, right? I wanted individuals to be comfortable enough to come to me and say, and pull me aside in brotherly love and say, you're wrong. You need to fix this, or you need to do something different. So.
Yeah, that gut check is not always fun, but it's essential. It's essential, right? Yeah, I do crazy, stupid stuff all the time. Like, just like, what am I even thinking? You know, I just totally forgot who was even here today. You know, somebody will ask me a question and I'll say, like this happened today. I was like, oh, Tom's on vacation. I think he didn't fill that out because he's not going to be here. And then Chuck chimes in and says, wait, Tom's my pastor wingman, isn't he? And I went, oh, last week he was on vacation. Yeah, this week he's here. I was like, sorry. My teams, I know they're going, wait a minute, this is our leader? No, but they're awesome. It's really good.
Well, we've talked about it. Mike and I have talked about it before, but having the humility and having an approachable spirit just goes so far with, you know, with leading a team and being successful, and just realizing that, you know what, a team is just that. It's a group of people that you're depending on to be successful, to handle things a certain way. And it's not just one person. And one of the things I know I've expressed many, many times to different churches is the what you said before, that you're engaging with the folks that you serve with. You're not asking them. And I'm actually in the middle of working on the outline for the next ministry life cycle book, Retain, where we talk about keeping your ministry folks that you've invested time into. And one of the things that keeps coming up over and over again as I work on writing that is the reality that, you know, as you look at people, as you're serving with people, you have to be involved with them. If you're not involved with them, then you're not going to be successful, because that person eventually is going to get tired of serving and worn out and find something else to do.
Yeah. So an example of that, we have monthly trainings, right? But I also have every like quarter, I'm going to have a dinner with all the wives, right? And so that I can get to know them and they're part of the team, that kind of thing. It's also quality because when the men go away for the men's retreat and I want them to, then I have all the wives and I'm like, okay, women, come on in, help me serve, right?
Nice.
But Friday night we got together, we got together at this place and it was families and everybody came, like everybody that could, and they brought their kids and it was a great time of community, right? But this Sunday we had we had a lot of people out today, and so I usually we have a security lead, like somebody who's kind of in charge. If something happens, that's the person to go to, right? And that's usually me, first service. And so today I couldn't really fulfill that role because I needed to be in front of a building doing security lead at that building. And so I was out there and I was freezing cold, and I called my boss, Fred, and said, hey, Fred, I forgot this sheet in the security room. Would you mind bringing it to me? I'm out at this building. And he said, yeah. And I said, and if you happen to walk by the hospitality room and grab a breakfast taco, I would love that too. And he's like, what kind do you like? I don't care. I said, and I know you're not my errand boy, so forgive that. But if you don't mind, I would appreciate, bringing those two things out. And he laughed. He goes, you know what? He said, I am your errand boy. He said, as your manager, it is my responsibility to do things for you. He said, I'm here to serve you as you serve others. And I said, wow, I guess that's true. I'm here to serve my team. Whatever they need, they know they can call me, and if I can do it, I will. So I said, that is so true. You're right. Yeah, that's what we do for each other. And so, just great leadership, right? From the top down. I think it's
Sure.
a good place to be. Yeah.
One of the ways I look at that, Corey, is I always take it on as my job to try to remove friction. So is there something in the process creating friction? Is there a policy that's creating a challenge, or people are struggling with it? Is there a specific area that somebody may not be suitably yoked to do? I try to look at those things that are potentially causing friction and see if I can remove it. Sometimes that friction is outside of my control, meaning it's environmental, or it's coming from the family or their day job, or any number of things. But recognizing those points of friction, mitigating the ones we can, and then when there's ones that we can't touch, recognizing that maybe that's a time that that person needs a season where they take a break, and that's a chance to really recharge and renew, because that focus, that friction may bubble up to the point where it can harm others on the team. So while it's looking at what that effect is, not just on the individual, but looking across the team and how that affects others.
You're so right. And we've had that on the team a few times, right? Different reasons that people have needed to step off. Maybe not friction, but, different things going on, just not a good time, or I need to go back to school or whatever, and that has led to a whole offboarding process that we need to have too, right? Because that's applicable. Like, why are we leaving? What's going on? Is it a good thing? Is it not? Whatever. But anytime someone has had to step off the team, it has ended in a very great conversation, right? And so I'm so glad for that we can part ways, but it's not like any of the parting of the ways has been a negative thing. It's just, it could be awkward to be on a team and then step off, and people think, well, is there something going on? Is it not? And it's like, no, we're in a different season of life, and we need to change things. And that's going to continue to happen. People will come and go. And, but I'm really grateful for the conversations that we can have around that. It's good.
Because of the tenure that this ministry tends to have, we tend to see folks, and I've had conversations with different churches where you get the folks that have served for a long time, and now they're recognizing that it's probably not the season for them to continue serving for any number of reasons. And typically that's those that are reaching older ages, that they're recognizing that they're not as nimble as they once were, and that they don't have that ability that they once had. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I encourage folks to look at how might you use them. So sometimes they can move their skill set into a position that, like monitors, or they can be given a seat and they can still use their eyes and observe and greet people and do different things, but maybe they can't stand a post per se. So it can evolve, but that offboarding that you talked about, Corey, is very important for all of these teams to look at, not just for saying, why did somebody leave or why is somebody perhaps moving on, but making sure that you can help them with that transition, especially those that have served for a long time and are now changing their calling, their station in the church from a position on the team to something else.
Sure. I had a guy in our original leadership team that needed to step down for a little bit. And it was good. It was great. You know what? 7 months later, he's back on the team. He needed a break. He had been on the team for 10 years. Yeah, he needed a break, right? So that was good. It was great for him to be able to go do that, take care of his kids. They, left for college. All this stuff was going on, and it was good. It was a good thing. There was another gentleman who was like, our standards had kind of increased a little bit with the different things that we were asking people to do on the team, different physical abilities and stuff. And he just said, I'm not there, I'm older. I don't think I can do all that. And I said, there's so much value you bring to the team though, in different ways. Right. I mean, we've got an entire position that's just camera overwatch. Right. So there's so much you can do, lobby greeting, all these things. And in the end, he was like, I really think, I need to step off. And I was like, okay, that's good. We're still friends, but there's so many different reasons.
There's so much legacy. Sorry, one quick thought. Legacy knowledge that sometimes those folks that are kind of retiring from the role have, and we don't always do the best job documenting a lot of things. Now, we may capture incident data, but documenting other knowledge and information isn't always something that folks in our ministry tend to do. So capturing some of that legacy knowledge from somebody who's kind of moving on is huge, because they can provide insights and information to the next generation that are going to continue to serve. Sorry, James.
I was just going to say, just kind of echo what you guys both said, was that, there's always if you're creative, safety and security is probably one of the few ministries that you can be extremely creative with and figure out a new type of post or a new type of position almost on the fly and say, hey, we don't have somebody, but if you need to sit down in a chair or you need to serve in this capacity, can you be my eyes and ears, and can you help out with this? And
I just added 2 more positions 2 weeks ago. We got to grow the team again.
I mean, some of the best relationships that I've had with folks serving have been with older folks, or special needs, or handicapped folks, or just finding a position and helping them contribute and helping them meet that desire that they have to serve. And that's what we do for anybody, is really try to plug them in so that they can serve in a way that brings them purpose, right? Because we all are looking for purpose in Christ, but also purpose in the church. And so having that definitely contributes to that. So anyhow, we are out of time. In fact, we're kind of over. So we should probably say goodnight, but thank you so much, Corey, for hanging out with us. It was great to have you on, and it's always fun to chat with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great.
It's great to hear more about your team too, Corey.
I can't wait for you to meet all of them.
That's
going to be awesome.
Yep.
April is
when we go down there in April, she's going to have them all lined up and okay, now this is this person and that person. And
it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yep.
I can't wait to host y'all and to have the conference. It's really going to be a great time.
Good stuff. Thanks, Corey.
All right. So just wrapping up real quick. Again, if you've joined us or haven't more recently, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining. As always, you can reach out to us through our website, which is churchsafetyguys.com. And if you're interested in attending our 2024 Church Security Essentials Conference, the tickets are actually out and available at an early bird price discounted rate. And you can check that out on our website, which is 𝗓𝗏𝐻conference.com. And if you're interested in bringing your church or your team, feel free to reach out to us for a multi-ticket discount we can provide for you. But otherwise, we definitely appreciate you hanging out with us. And as always, click the like, share, and subscribe button for us. That always helps us with the algorithms and providing content for you all. And at the moment, we will plan on seeing you all next week. So thanks for hanging out. Take care. God bless. Have a great, uneventful, I'll say that, great uneventful week. Take care.
Thank you for joining the Church Safety Guys broadcast, brought to you by Vigilant Impact. We hope that you found it informative, and we appreciate your feedback and interaction. Be sure to share our broadcast with your teams, join the discussion online, and connect with us on social media or at our website at 𝗓𝗏𝗄𝑐𝑡𝑦guys.com. For other great ministry resources, download the Church Security app. Remember, keep a servant's heart, a mindset of ministry, and semper disciplina. Always be training. Have a blessed week.